All right, hello everybody. Today we are going to talk about 9 properties that are on the market right now on Ambergris Caye that are offering seller financing. Quite often we're getting asked about financing for properties here in Belize. If you are new to this topic, I do have a quick overview for you about financing here as a foreigner, but I'm going to just jump right in. Do note that we are recording the session on July 12th, 2023. So if you see anything that we talk about that you would like more information about, please do reference the date of the session that you're listening to, July 12th, 2023, so that we make sure we're sending you correct information. So my name is Rachel Jensen. I am the broker owner of Luna Realty Belize here on Ambergris Caye. I also sit on the board for the Real Estate Association here, and Ambergris Caye has been home and has for the last 11 years. And originally from New York, but Belize is where I reside full time. So if anybody has any questions generally about living here, Belize, making that move to Belize, or all that's in between, feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to answer those questions. So we are going to be talking specifically about ambergris, and I see my picture there. I might be covering the island a little bit, so let me make it a little bit smaller. But we're going to be talking specifically about opportunities on ambergris. Ambergris is the #1 tourism destination for the entire country. It generates about 70% of the tourism revenue for the entire country. So when a lot of people are looking at investments, they tend to look over here on the island. Now, there are many different locations within the country that you can be considering if you're thinking lifestyle or investment generally, but today's focus is going to be on ambergris. If you're new to the island, we have done info sessions about what it's like over here, what the real estate market is like, showing you maps and all the good stuff in between. And we'd be happy to send that over to you. Feel free to reach out to us, info@Luna Realty Belize. I can send you the links for you to get caught up on the island here. This session is really just meant to dive right in and talk to you more specifically about what is on the market at this point. So I do just want to highlight that financing in Belize for foreigners is very difficult to come by. I know a lot of times we are so used to the norms in our home country that when you're looking overseas, you're considering, oh, I just need to put 20% down, can finance for 30 years, can finance at 80% for 30 years. It's not quite that way. Belize has been and continues to primarily be a cash market, but the solution that the sellers have come across, because when they're selling property, they realize that not everybody has 100% to put down on the property, is that there are some sellers, typically about 25% we see of sellers are willing to do some sort of seller financing. That may be a little bit on the higher side. You'll tend to see that most properties are not offering seller financing. That is going to be a cash purchase, but do bear that in mind as you are looking through the opportunities here. Typically, if financing is going to be an option, is in the listing text that you'll see. Sometimes it's not, so you'll just want to talk to your agent and be clear if you do need financing, because sometimes if we don't know, then we're going to be assuming that you are looking at a cash purchase. So I'm going to give you a few highlights, a couple tidbits to note, and especially for those of you who are new to financing in Belize or even new to property in Belize, this stuff is really important for you to know prior to setting your expectations, right? You want to set your expectations clearly right before jumping right in. So one is, because it is seller financing, the terms are, of course, determined by the seller. However, there are common terms here. I'm not saying this is true for 100% of the deals, but this is the standard terms that you will come across. You will put 50% down, interest rates about 8%, and the term is short. It's about 3 to 5 year term. Typically, you'll work on an agreement with the closing attorney or the closing agent so that both parties are on the same page when you are doing seller financing. But typically, if you as the buyer default on payment after 60 days, the property goes back to the seller and then you've lost the money that you put in. So you do want to make sure that you're being diligent about paying on time, and you will get that coordinated directly with the seller. Now, typically, there's not as much room to negotiate when you are participating or taking advantage of seller financing. The seller, of course, is taking a risk. They're not necessarily doing a credit check on you or anything that the big banks usually do. So there is a little bit more risk that's involved with them when they do seller financing. So not much room for negotiation, but of course you can always ask and see what you can get. The third point here is when the title is transferred. I get this question quite a bit. So when you're financing, there are 2 ways that you can work on when the title is transferred. So the first one that you'll see there is that it stays in the seller's name and it's transferred to the buyer when the last payment is received. So when the seller has received 100% of the funds, that's when you'll work with the closing agent to transfer over the title. The second one, and I'd say this is most common, but I know it just depends entirely on the seller and buyer and how it is that they prefer to do it. But the second one there is the title is transferred to the buyer, to the buyer's name, and then there's a charge that's registered with the lands department. A charge is essentially a lien. That agreement that you've drawn up with the closing agent will get registered with the lands department. So for example, if we go back up to point one, and then there's a clause about default on payment, that would get registered there with the lands department. So then the title would go back to the seller. So just depending on how it is you want to set it up and depending on timelines, I say number two is a great option because just in case there's an increase in closing costs or something down the line, there's just a little bit more risk with costs if you don't know what it's going to be in the future. But I know there are sellers who are more comfortable with it being in their name until they get 100% of the funds. And either way, the agreement is registered with the lands department. And so you don't have to worry about that part, but that will be part of the closing process. And that cost, that extra cost to register the charge or the lien is paid by the buyer. So just something to bear in mind. Also, closing fees are not financed. I've had this question get asked quite a bit. You cannot finance your closing fees. Those will be paid directly to the closing agent, the closing attorney, by the buyer, and that is paid in cash. And typically in new builds, so new construction, furniture and appliances are not included in the financing rate that developers, if they are offering financing, will offer. So understand that furniture, appliances, and those closing costs will have to be paid cash, and you cannot typically finance those. Again, exceptions for every property. Each property does things a little bit differently, but this is quite common here with new builds. Furniture, appliance, and closing costs will not be included in the financing. Again, just ask because everything's different. But I do want to note that all the prices that we're going to talk about here are in US dollars. So keep that in mind. You don't have to do any math or anything as you're going through the numbers here. It is all in US dollars. So we're going to jump into the opportunities. I have 9 available right now that are offering seller financing. If there's anything that you see that you'd like more information about, this is really just a quick overview. Give us the number that you see here on the top of the screen, and then also make sure you're referencing the day. I think we said July 12th, right? Yes, July 12th, 2023 in the subject line of your email so that we know exactly what it is to send you. So this here, we can see the top part of the screen is the first opportunity, and we do have these in order by price. So we're starting with the most affordable and then working from there. So this is land banking by Secret Beach. It's located about 3 miles north of Secret Beach on the west side of the island. As you can see here, the water, it's crystal clear blue. It goes up to about your waist, your hips. It is a beautiful spot. Land at Secret Beach, beachfront land these days is currently running anywhere from about $300,000 up. And so if you're somebody who's thinking for the long term, perhaps you want to hold on to property for 3, 5, 10 years, this could be a great option for you. Hold on to the property. Waterfront property is starting at 95, and then Waterview, the second row back, starting at 45,000. Here, the seller is willing to finance on 2 lots or more. He has not given us an exact expectation of what he would like to see in terms of terms, but he is, I know, certainly always willing to negotiate. So if you're owning 2 parcels or more, this could be a great option. And I know we've had some clients come down and look and who are contemplating now between a front row, and the first row here is like a number 4 and number 19 or number 18. That way you own the front and the second row. And then if you ever decide you want to build, you can, or if you want to sell, you can always sell them as a package deal. So a really great spot. And important part I'd say to highlight is that Secret Beach, I mentioned, just a few miles down, and Ambergris Lagoon is just right across the way over here. And this area is well known for fly fishing. And if you are one of the fly fishermen for a permit, tarpon, bonefish, you can find that in this area over here. So this is Fisherman's Cove, opportunity number 1. And then, oh yeah, I have a little video there so you can see what the water looks like, but you can see it's shallow, that crystal clear blue, and it's just the stunning Caribbean that a lot of people expect when they're coming to Belize. Second opportunity is a new home lot that just got released. It's just entered the market. It is a 3rd row lot, so you can see your 3rd row from the Caribbean. And it's actually right over by that Secret Beach junction. So it takes about 15 minutes to get to Secret Beach from this area. But this is a popular neighborhood that's been growing with a lot of single family homes, quite nice single family homes. And if you're somebody who's looking into land bank, or perhaps you want to build your own home in the future and you're not quite ready to put down 100% for the lot, This is one of the best financing that I've seen in terms of how much you can finance, but they're offering 75% financing. So down, you're putting about 22,000, 21, 22,000, financing close to 64,000. Your monthly payments come out to about $2,000 a month. And again, 4 miles north, close to that Cedar Beach Junction, 3 rows back. This is option number 2, Spanish Reef, the 3rd row lot. All right, option number 3 here is a 2nd row lot in Tarpon Bay. Tarpon Bay is located about 4.5 miles south of town. And Tarpon Bay, very similar to the Spanish Reef neighborhood that we just looked at, is an area where we're seeing more single family homes go up. So again, if you're thinking land banking, you want to build down here in the future, this could be a great option for you. This one is one of the longest terms I've seen. We have a few 30-year options available, but I mean, it's definitely far and few between. I'll tell you that you will not find many 30-year terms on the market here. Typically, like I mentioned the standards before, anywhere from 3 to 5 years. So to see a 30-year really is quite remarkable. But 50% down, so you're putting down about 67,000, interest 8%, 30-year term. Your monthly payments come out to about $500 a month. And this is 2nd row for going for 135. And if you're seeing these and you're like, I don't necessarily want to finance, so I can do cash, always put in your cash offer. Sometimes you can get better deals if you are doing cash, but otherwise, if there is financing, like I mentioned in the previous slide, don't expect to be able to negotiate or move too much on the price that you see. But like we saw in Spanish Reef, this does have utility hookups right here, so you don't have to worry about that. Obviously, here you can see in the 2nd row highlighted that there is road access, so you don't have to worry about the road either. All right, let me go back. This is option number 3, 2nd row lot at Tarpon Bay or in Tarpon Bay. Option number 4, this is a canal-front community located on West Ambergris Caye, about half a mile west of the San Pedro town area. This area has been growing quite a bit. A lot more people are focusing on this area because of the proximity to town, but they can also be at Cedar Beach in 15 minutes. And this opportunity here specifically is for a studio model. It is already constructed, will be entered into the rental market later this year. This is a developer financing where it's 50% financing, 8% interest, 3-year term. So you're putting down about 120,000, financing another 120,000, and your monthly payments come out to about $3,700 there. Again, all in US dollars. Nice part is that this is interest-free while that phase is under construction and until it gets opened for the public. So you do have your interest-free payments there, which is a nice perk. Originally, these go for $239,900. And I mentioned to you that does have that road to Cedar Beach. Also, the furniture is included in this unit. So that is a neat perk because you are able to actually finance part of the furniture. All right, next opportunity, go back again just to highlight it. Option number 4, this is the Aruna Canal-front studio. So you are looking right out at the canal. Option number 5 here is going back to that Tarpon Bay area. We saw the 2nd row lot, which if you can follow my cursor is right over here. So this is located across the street. It's waterfront. This is a great area for, again, land bankers, people who want to build a single family home. If you are thinking about bringing your own boat in or having access to a dock, you can add a dock over here too. But this is a 30-year term. Again, I mentioned I have a few 30 years in the presentation here, but they are not standard by any means. But this one, you're looking at a 249, so you're putting down 125, financing 125, monthly payments are less than $1,000 a month. And again, a 30-year term there. So this is a neat lot. I do like to highlight that it is oversized. It's about 2 times the size of what you'll generally find in this area, or for the standard lots at about a quarter of an acre. And like we saw before with the other 2nd row lot, there is road access and then also electricity hookup. And this is option number 5, the waterfront lagoon front lot in Tarpon Bay. All right, option number 6, this is a luxury 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Follow my cursor. It is in this area over here. Follow my cursor. That's where the property is, 1st floor, ground floor. It's partial ocean view, I would say. From the living room, you do have a view of the Caribbean, but this one is located in Las Terrazas. It's a very popular resort for weddings and luxury travelers and groups generally, also families, especially as a 3-bedroom if you're bringing kids down or you're traveling with other couples. This is a great option for those renters. Here you will see that it is a shorter term at 3 years, so monthly payments are higher, close to $6,000 over that 3-year term. 50% financing, 8% interest. This is going for $375. And this is option number 6, the luxury 3-bed, 2-bath. Option number 7 is going back to that Aruna Canal-front community. This is a 2-bedroom. This would be a pre-construction opportunity. It takes about 8 to 12 months for the property to get constructed. While it is under construction, there are interest-free payments. So that's a nice benefit. And because we're looking at this, we're at about 489 here. And that's only 40% interest, 8% or 40% financing, 8% interest, 3-year term. You are looking at monthly payments of about $6,100. So again, bear in mind, it makes it a little bit more breathable or bearable, but those will be higher payments because you are only able to do 40% financing for this specific 2-bedroom over here. But it is a beautiful 2-bed, 2-bath home. It comes already with a lap pool there. This also has solar into it. It's a hybrid solar system. And then you can see that little dock that'll be over there. So you do have access to the canal should you choose. That's option number 7, Aruna Canal-front community, the 2-bedroom. Before we saw the studio, this is the 2-bedroom. All right, option number 8 is a luxury 2-bed, 2-bath Caribbean front. When you look out your window, you're sitting there on the veranda, you're looking directly out at the Caribbean. And this is a high-end property. It's about 2.5 miles north of the bridge. Furniture is included. And it was recently reduced to $545. The owners are willing to do 50% financing. And it's a 10-year amortization schedule. It's a 5-year term, but if they receive payments on time, they are willing to extend another 5 years. So it'd be a total of 10 years. So when we ran the numbers, I based the monthly payments based on a 10-year term, assuming that you'd be making your payments on time. And so that's where we get the monthly payments at about $3,100 per month. And that is a 10-year term with a 7% interest. Again, recently reduced, and this is a Caribbean front 2-bed, 2-bath. There's one available on the first floor and one available on the second floor as well. First floor, extremely convenient. You can just walk right down the steps, be there on the beach. Second floor, if you want a little bit more of a view or you want a little bit more privacy. And last but not least, option number 9, this is a pre-construction home with a boat slip. And this is the final 30-year term option that I have seen here in Belize. It is 50% down, 8% interest. So your monthly payments are about $2,000 a month. You're putting down about $275. Do note that this does not include furniture, appliances, or closing costs. So you will have to pay cash for the furniture, appliances, and closing costs. So something to bear in mind as you are putting together your budget. This is located about 1.5 miles north of the bridge, 2-bed, 2.5-bath. And these are pre-construction. There are some that are going up right now, but this opportunity for the 30 years specifically for villa number 3, and that one is not yet constructed, but it will be. So I just want to recap with you. We had 9 opportunities. Quickly recap them with you. If you see anything that you'd want more information about, info@lunarealtybelize.com, and we'd be happy to get that to you. All right, option number 1 is land banking by Secret Beach at Brasselet Caye. Option number 2 is the Spanish Reef 3rd Row Lot, 75% financing. Option number 3 is the 2nd Row Lot in Tarpon Bay. That's a 30-year term. Option number 4 is the Canal-front Studios at Aruna. This one is 50% interest or 50% interest, 50% financing. Next option is the Waterfront Lot in Tarpon Bay. And here again, another 30-year term, less than $1,000 a month. Luxury 3-bed, 2-bath at Las Terrazas. And this is a beautiful complex here with 50% financing. Aruna backs that Canal-front community specifically for the 2-bedroom model here, where they're doing 40% financing. You're looking at about monthly payments of about $6,100. Option number 8, the Caribbean 2-bed, 2-bath luxury high-end property located about 2.5 miles north of the bridge. And then last but not least, pre-construction home with a boat slip there, a little bit more of a modern feel to it. But here you are looking at another 30-year term. So if anybody wants additional information, please reach out. Please make sure you're also referencing today's date, July 12th, 2023. Mention the finance properties. That's what you want more information about. We'll get those details to you. And we look forward to hearing from you. So thank you, everybody. Actually, I do have one more point. I feel like I always have one more point, but I do want to mention this one more point. And a lot of times I know when people are looking to finance, they're thinking investment, right? They want to put in the rental market, make money from it. In most of the cases where you have a short term, right, 2, 3, 4 years, you're not going to be making the sort of monthly amount that you would need to cover your monthly mortgage. And like, for Aruna, for example, $6,100 a month. So you're going to be paying likely into the property, right, to be able to cover expenses and whatnot. I would say that do not come in with the expectation that what you're bringing in from rental income is going to cover your mortgage and your expenses and all of that. Maybe for some of the longer term properties, right, the 30-year terms, you can probably expect that at least you'd be breaking even or close to breaking even. But I just want to make sure that that's very clear. I know as investors, a lot of times we are so trained to look at the mortgage and make sure that we're covering our expense, covering the mortgage, covering utilities, all of that. But with the shorter terms, it's a lot more difficult to accomplish that. So again, there's always other opportunities out there. This was today some of the best that I've seen, but feel free to reach out. We'll love to chat with you about what's available at the time that you're inquiring and going from there. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.